The Mannin Line with Beth Espey.
Well, Fatima, good afternoon. Welcome to the final Mannin Line of the week. Beth looking after things again today. Whatever's on your mind, we'd love to talk to you. 66 13 68 is the number to go on air. Some things that were in the news, positive from Ramsey High Street on breakfast this morning. Businesses there reporting Christmas trade so far is going really well. In other not so good news, we understand bus drivers on the Isle of Man have voted to take industrial action over ongoing disputes about pay and contracts. We'll tell you what we know about that so far. And also it's been announced a Manx Dairy will stop its milk round deliveries from the end of January next year. Cool Dairy has been serving the south for 75 years, but they're going in a slightly different direction now. Or perhaps you'd like to talk about something else entirely. As I say, 66 13 68 is the number to call. Chris waiting to speak to you and hopefully get as many people to air as possible. Or you can email studio@manxradio.com, or you can text 166 177. Just want to talk about the bus driver issue first of all. There were suggestions that bus drivers would be taking strike action on social media last night. So we have spoken with the union Unite, who has confirmed industrial action is on the cards. The extent to that industrial action is currently unknown. Unite balloted its members and we understand it has come back in favour of taking that action, but union reps are now going to be having discussions with bus drivers over the coming day or so just to determine exactly what kind of industrial action they would be willing to take. So once that process is completed, the union will notify the Department of Infrastructure and Bus Vannin that it will be staging industrial action, and then it will hold meetings to go over some of the fine print. So maybe just discussing why that couldn't be avoided. And the dispute itself centres on pay and contracts. We're told there are varying contracts which bus drivers work to. Some grant additional pay for overtime, but the new contracts actually don't. We are expecting a statement from the union later today, so that might clarify some of the details. But at the moment, that is all we know. The government, the DOI, is aware, and we have requested a comment from them. But we can go to the lines now, first of all, and join Beastie. How are you, Beastie?
Struggling on. How are you, Charlotte?
Oh, I'm all right. Thank you very much. What would you like to talk about?
Well, it's good news about Ramsey, isn't it?
Yeah, it seemed really positive, yeah.
Very positive. And another positive thing that's happened for the last 2 years is that on December the 25th, not before or after, at the courthouse, in the middle of the day, there has been a buffet for people who are on their own. And contrary to what a lot of people on the island think, there are many people on the island who do not have anybody. They do not have family. They live on their own, not with their family living up the road, but they're completely on their own. And the 25th of December is not a good day for these people because it is brought home to them loud and clear that they are not in a community, that they are completely on their own. However, for the last 2 years, Age Concern have run this fantastic buffet on the 25th of December, which has been wonderful. And the helpers, it's just been absolutely incredible. And people who otherwise have got nobody and would be on their own and would probably have a boiled egg and toast for dinner. You know, you don't put up decorations and things like that when you're on your own. Of course you don't. There's no such thing as Christmas Day. But this has been held and it's been absolutely fantastic. And of course this year people would have been putting their names on the list. And with less than 3 weeks to go, we now hear that this year's has been cancelled.
Oh, Beastie, I know you phoned the newsroom a little bit earlier. You were talking to Amy about this, and we did get in touch with Age Concern Isle of Man, who are going to get back to us a little bit later about why this has happened. But it is heartbreaking, isn't it?
It's Age, I don't care, not Age Concern. Oh. How can they do that? Now, it's not to do with the help. The helpers have been in tears. The helpers have been in tears over it. It's just so cruel, so cruel.
Well, we don't know the circumstances surrounding that. Obviously, there may be something going on that we're not aware of at the moment. But as you say, these events, and they do happen all around the island, there are some amazing things that happen. As you say, there are so many people who do wake up on Christmas Day on their own. So to have that sense of community and being together is really important. So if anybody knows of anything else happening in Ramsey, then that would be wonderful to hear about. Do get in touch and let us know. But obviously, Beastie, really upsetting for you, and my heart goes out to you.
Well, I'm okay because I'm a pagan anyway, so it's the 21st, which is the important day for me. But it's just that it dawns on you, that everyone else is opening their presents and having their Christmas dinner, and it just sort of brings it home to you. But for a lot of people who are not just, it isn't just living on your own, it's having nobody, that there is nobody there. And for a lot of people, they have other issues as well. They may have mental issues or mobility issues or financial issues, because this thing has never been about finance. It's always been about community. And for those people, what are they going to do? If right, we're not going to have another one, okay. But 3 weeks before it was due to be held, and my heart goes out to those people.
Oh, Beastie. Well, thank you very much for letting us know about it. As I say, we have been in touch with Age Concern, so hopefully we'll get an answer.
Well, if anybody else wants to ring in about it, but I'll tell you what, the helpers have just been fantastic. Just fantastic all through the year, but particularly on the 25th of December. Smiling, helping, warm-hearted. There's nothing too good that you could say about them. They're just fantastic, and they are as upset as the people who would be going to the buffet. So it's very, very sad, and it is a time for people to actually consider, when they're in the heart of their family on the 25th, that it isn't like that for everyone. And tell Ben that, will you? Because he rattles on about it every morning about how wonderful it's going to be. Ben, it's not going to be for everybody.
Oh, okay, Beastie.
And it's rubbing salt into the wound,
Oh, thank you so much for getting in touch. And as I say, as soon as we have an answer...
If anybody else wants to phone in and say how much they've enjoyed it in the past, that would be great.
Okay, Beastie.
Age, we don't care, I think, not age concern.
All right, Beastie, thank you so much indeed for getting in touch. And as I say, we have been in touch with Age Concern. I think it's fair to say, they do amazing things all throughout the year, but clearly there is some issue with this Christmas event, which was expected to take place. We'll go to the lines now and join Julian. Good afternoon, Julian.
Hiya, Beth. Time to batten down the hatches for later, it looks like.
Oh, I tell you what, it's absolutely wild up here on Douglas Head. It's one of those can barely open your car door moments. And I understand it's cars you want to talk about.
Yes. Just before I get on to the 20 mile an hour rollout, I'm just interested that Stu Peters has called for a referendum on removing the Climate Change Act and stopping the net zero spending over here. Mm-hmm. But the Green Party say they will try and block it. That doesn't sound very democratic, does it, Beth?
Well, we have been hearing about this. This is going to be in Tynwald this coming week. As you say, Stu Peters calling for that referendum on whether or not the policy should be abandoned to be held alongside the general election next year. So essentially what the Green Party are saying is that net zero targets give clear direction to government departments, public bodies, local authorities and businesses. They argue scrapping it would drive up future costs, weaken our resilience and limit our ability to protect households, infrastructure and our natural environment from changes that are already unfolding. We've got a full statement from them on the Manx Radio website. And I guess, Julian, there are also other people who say if you have to have a referendum about a government policy like this, then do you have to have a referendum about every government policy, and therefore would anything actually ever get done?
Well, look at Switzerland. They do that way around, and they've got one of the highest GDPs for a small of any country, and they're only a small country. And all the railways are working perfectly, and all the roads are lovely, and everyone seems to be doing all right there. By the way, I'd just like to add my support to what Sue said yesterday about the potential flooding in Colby as a result of the installing of the Cairvai Wind Energy Industrial Estate at Erie Staine. I'd just like to say that is going to be a serious problem, I think, and I don't know if it's easily handleable, especially economically, to have to handle that kind of water. Anyway, staying on the net zero subject, the 20 mile an hour rollout, I noticed at a Garth Commissioners meeting in the autumn, the 20 mile an hour rollout was discussed. And in attendance was the DOI Minister, Michelle Hayward. But also there was Highway Network Planning Manager for the DOI, Kevin Almond. He seems to be at the forefront of the push for this 20 mile an hour rollout. Just for people who've got a memory of 10 years ago, Kevin Almond had large concrete blocks installed on the Strang Road to force compliance of the 20 mile an hour limit that was placed then.
Well, I think, shall we just, Julian, I'm just going to stop you there for a moment. Obviously, we don't know it was just his policy, so let's just be a little bit careful about just suggesting it was his rollout there, but carry on.
Okay. Well, I'll do his quote. He said that they would be permanent and their appearance is a matter of opinion. That is what he quoted at the time. Luckily, the residents kicked up such a fuss that the expensive concrete blocks were subsequently removed. But I think a lot of people, and I mean everyone I'm speaking to, is completely against this, aside from, of course, logical places like outside schools and housing estates that have tight areas. I think it would probably be a good idea if we could perhaps get Kevin Almond on the Mannin Line and actually kind of discuss this more, because he is the head of the planning of the network for the highways. So he's kind of at the forefront of all this. So I don't know. I mean, if you can, or Andy can get Kevin Almond on the radio and we can have a proper chat about this, because we're not getting a lot of sense as to, how are you going to get social care workers driving all over the place looking after people at home when they're all being asked to drive a third slower at all times of the day and night? How are you going to get the emergency services? How is it that the chief constable says that it doesn't make any sense because there's no statistics to back it up, or the fact that it's policeable? How are you going to justify this from a green perspective when everyone's diesels, you're going to be spending thousands on new DPF filters because they're not built to drive slowly all over the place? So there's all kinds of questions on this, and it seems to be getting rolled out. But if the person that seems to be attending commissioners' meetings and stuff, who seems to be at the forefront of this, I think we need to hear from Kevin Almond and find out exactly where his thoughts are on this.
I think you're right, Julian. I mean, it's a very divisive issue. We know that obviously there have been the consultations taking place and lots of feedback given to the department. I suppose just to play devil's advocate, if you think about the safety aspects of it, and we're talking about the centres of towns and whatever, if somebody's hit by a car at 20 miles an hour, they are much less likely to be seriously hurt or killed in a road traffic collision. So I just wonder if there is that aspect sometimes to consider as well.
There's no statistics to back that up. I mentioned a week or two ago that cars, since, over even the last few years, 85% improvement in stopping distance, massive improvements in pedestrian safety with all the different way that they're doing honeycombs and the curvature of the bonnets and stuff. And another side to all this, aside from the frustration that people probably overtaking dangerously because they're so frustrated at the equivalent of following a tractor, is what's the behaviour of some cyclists going to be like when they're confronted with traffic that are going considerably slower than them? Say you've overtaken some cyclists in a 50 or a no speed limit, you get into town and then they're all bunching up behind you. I find it hard to believe that they're just going to sit patiently in the queue. They're going to overtake you up the inside, up the outside, and this has been seen in Wales. So if we are going to go with this, maybe we should be, like we did with the electric trams and the steam trains, would be at the first in the world and start licensing and putting number plates on cyclists.
All right,
and
Julian.
Electric bikes as well.
OK, that's a question. If anyone's got any thoughts on that, lovely to talk to you as ever. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Beth.
Take care. That was Julian there, just talking about the 20 mile an hour zone. So would you like to see cyclists licensed over here? Let's just go to some of the emails that we've got now. Fran says the houses at Douglas Corporation are selling off. Devon Watson stated they were to be sold individually to stop them going to a developer. But what would happen if a developer would pay certain people to front their purchase? Pat says the threatened strike by bus drivers is not all about money. I just spoke to a driver on the bus and he tells me it's a safety issue. Inexperienced drivers are being forced to work long hours, 14 plus a day. Their licences may not also be valid for the job description or completed training. The only issue on money is drivers being forced to work long hours but not receiving premiums for overtime. So we should say we have asked the DOI and Bus Mannin for a comment on this, and we are expecting more details on it a little bit later. I wonder if the Manx hide-and-seek champion will stand for re-election in 2026 to push through his idea of getting rid of the net zero policy. Who could he be talking about there? Devon Watson wants to buy more houses to let fall into disrepair from the funds of previous stock he let fall into disrepair. It makes no sense to me. We did have a very detailed interview with Devon Watson on Breakfast this morning. You can find the full thing on the Manx Radio website, and Devon did address some of the issues that were raised on Mannin Line yesterday and clarified some of those points. So if we've got time before the end of the programme, then we will play that for you. Somebody mentioned the love train. Thank you. Oh, it's good. No, I mean, I don't mean it was good. You know what I mean? Regarding the 20 miles an hour limit, we went through Wales this year and they spent millions on the limit, and now they are reversing that decision in the same areas. That is Dye there. So lots of subjects on the go so far today. 166 177 studio@manxradio.com. You can also find us on WhatsApp as well. But even better, 66 13 68 is the number to call. And we can join Howard now. Good afternoon, Howard. How are you?
Hi, Beth. Very well. And just listen to yourself and Julian. And it's something I've raised previously with Andy. Bicycle riders are unrestricted on speed. So let's assume this 20 mile an hour speed limit comes in, and you're travelling down the road and you're doing 22 mile an hour, 23, something just over the limit, and you get booked, the radar. But the chap overtakes you on a bicycle doing 30, 35 mile an hour, gets away scot-free. Now, how fair is that?
Well, I don't know. You don't think it's very fair, obviously, Howard?
Well, no, but because of the highway code, and I think the way the law stands, cyclists are unrestricted.
I suppose it's, I mean, lots of cyclists do have ways of monitoring their speed, which they sort of download afterwards, but not many, I don't think, would have a speedometer on their bike, I guess, to see how fast they're going.
But I've followed by you. In fact, one day, coming down to Richmond, I followed behind this fella, and he was doing 50 mile an hour on a bicycle. Yeah, and he was tramping on. He was safe. He got down the bottom and up the other side. But as I say, the bicycles, and I think it's unfair that they're slapping these speed limits on all vehicles except cyclists. And cyclists, in some cases, are an absolute pest. Others are not. There's a 50-50 there. But it's unfair that these cyclists can and will exceed the speed limits and get away with it absolutely free of charge. And it's still under the umbrella of safe roads for safe use. But the cyclists are going to be exceeding what is then the national speed limit.
OK, Howard, that's an interesting question. So what do people think about this? Should we put speed limits on cyclists? Lovely to talk to you as ever. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye now.
That was Howard there. We'll just take a very quick break now.
You may have noticed that local authorities have been sharpening their pitchforks and gathering fiery brands as they attempt to oppose a new piece of law which would give government power to impose functions and standards on them. Government's position appears to be that local commissioners and councillors shouldn't be able to shirk their statutory responsibilities, and LegCo has been drafted in to try to broker the peace. Also, a Tynwald committee is gently nudging government to properly register its land. Does government really know what it owns? Find out on Perspective this Sunday at 12 on Manx Radio with me, Phil Gaughan. Pitchforks at dawn on a misty field that may or may not belong to government. A perspective not to be missed.
As the nights draw in and the mornings turn crisp, it's the perfect time to treat yourself to a little winter glow at Tracy Bell Dental and Aesthetic Medical Clinic, with winter offers to help you look fresh, feel confident, and step into the season feeling your best, with something for her, something for him, and something lovely to share for couples, friends, professionals, and anyone who wants a boost through the darker months. Visit Tracy Bell online and click Winter Offers. Tracy Bell, helping you to be better.
Housing, benefits or employment issues, faulty goods, bad workmanship, financial problems and relationship breakdowns. We all run into difficulties in life, and it can feel like there's no one who can help you sort them out. But at Manx Citizens Advice Service, we can help. As an independent charity, we offer free, confidential support covering all sorts of areas. You don't need an appointment. Just call in at Promenade Church, Loch Promenade, Douglas, or call 366 338. Open Tuesdays from 12:30 till 3 and Fridays 10 till 12:30. Manx Citizens Advice Service. Your advice service.
New year. Looking for a new you? Here's the perfect challenge. Entries for the 2026 Manx Telecom Parish Walk are now open. Make this your best New Year's resolution. Sign up today at parishwalk.com.
I'm so excited. Mum says we can go to Ramsey Garden Centre to get our Christmas decorations. They've got everything for Christmas in store now, from lights and trees to decorations and lovely gifts. Our Christmas always starts with a visit to Ramsey Garden Centre. It's open every day.
Your Christmas station, Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Beth Espey.
It's 12:27. 66 13 68 is the number to call if you'd like to get in touch about anything at all this lunchtime. Just a message we didn't get to yesterday. This is from Tony. No one seems to be complaining about the amount of concrete and tarmac that are going to be used on the new housing estate in Braddon. No mention of the land that's getting torn up to build houses. We need renewables, says Tony. It's simple. The wind turbines are necessary. They work, despite what regular callers to this programme believe. We can go back to the lines now, and we are joined by the leader of Douglas City Council, Devon Watson. Devon, lovely to talk to you again. Thank you again for being with us on Breakfast. A lot of reaction, understandably, I think, to the policy that was announced earlier this week. You wanted to clarify some certain points.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like I'm walking to a bit of the lion's den by being a Mannin Line, but I think it's just worth clarifying. Manx Radio has done some incredible reporting, but it seems sometimes that people don't always read past that first headline of selling houses. And I just really want to clarify why we're doing this. And fundamentally, that we've got two problems. We've got some vacant council properties, and B, we've got a lot of people we desperately need to put into social housing. So what we've worked out is we've figured out a funding mechanism whereby if we can raise capital, we can probably build between 60 to 100 new apartments. That's something that we're quite keen to do. We're trying to get that council house waiting list all the way down. We're going to be putting out an expression of interest that clarifies this. And what this should allow us to do is house more people as a result. And if we can get currently vacant properties occupied, this essentially solves two problems. We simultaneously increase private sector supply, which is desperately needed, and we can maybe build a social housing block on a brownfield site, which also prevents further greenfield development. We try to have an all-encompassing policy. I know people are quite concerned, and I'm quite keen to respond to a lot of those concerns and engage with anyone. This is a brand new reform. No one's ever done this before in exactly this form, but we're desperate to see the 250 people who are on our housing waiting list get housed. One of the concerns people said, well, Devon let these houses fall into disrepair. So I just want to sort of clarify around that point as well, is that some of these maintenance issues go back to the 90s before I was even a thought in someone's head. And essentially, we're trying to deal with a lot of these long-standing issues by working with some private sector partners, not opposed to working with the private sector. And one thing that we're quite keen to do is essentially invest a lot more in maintenance. We've invested more in maintenance as a council than any council previously before. And as a result, our maintenance times have increased dramatically. People have got in touch with problems, and we're now solving a lot of those problems. And we want to make sure that every single person who's housed with the council is put into really decent, really good condition.
OK, can I just put a couple of questions then to you, Devon, that we've had from people? So Gaz has been in touch to say, and I think you did kind of address this on Breakfast this morning, but good to reiterate the point. I trust Douglas councillors and their families are barred from purchasing the Douglas properties which have fallen into disrepair. Is that true? Has anyone been barred from buying these when they go in the open market?
But I've got £36 on my bank account, so I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to. People have been saying about like brown envelopes, but I've been in council for 6 years and no one's offered me one yet. So I think I'm probably doing something wrong. But essentially what will happen is that every single one of these sales is going to have to go through committee, and it's going to have to be approved by the DOI. So there's multiple levels of checks to verify that A, you aren't going to have a really bad agent that comes in and buys this. There are no bad actors. coming in and purchasing these homes. That has been a lot of that really valid concern. So you want to make sure that there is a responsible social use for these sales. And what we're going to do is we're going to weigh up the cost benefit of the benefits of that sale versus the proceeds of that sale, to make sure that, that the sales themselves also partially fulfill a social purpose. But 100%, that seems very, very reasonable to make sure that councillors or their families don't buy up any of these social housing units.
Another comment, this actually came in yesterday, to say there is no shortage of council houses on the island. The issue is there are too many people in them that shouldn't be, many of which can't be means tested as they are still on the old contracts. And again, this is an issue that does come up frequently, doesn't it, Devon, about the eligibility of people who are actually in the houses and versus the people who genuinely need to be there. How seriously is the council taking that? What can you do about it?
Yeah, so Douglas City Council at the moment has a high percentage of tenants on the new term contracts than anyone else. That's about 75% of all tenants. And what we found with the actual numbers there is that 98% of people on these contracts fall below the thresholds required. And 2% might earn slightly above. But essentially what we do is we work with these tenants in order to find better accommodation for them. I mean, at the same time, the idea that if we just throw everybody out of social housing that earns a bit over the threshold by like £100, £150, £200 or so, or if we do root out like the 5 or 6 people that do earn too much, then you end up in a scenario where those people are out in the private sector competing for that limited stock of housing. So fundamentally, what we do need to do is we need to be boosting both private and public sector supply, and also making sure that the right people are in the right sort of housing. So that's one of the reasons why we want to build apartments, is so that retirees whose kids have left home, they have the ability to downsize if they want to do. That frees up family homes. And and if there are cases where people think that the system is being abused, please get in touch with the council. Please let us know. Please give us this information, and then we can action it. Because if there are people who are homeless out there, there should be no one who is abusing the system, so to speak.
Well, Devon Watson, Douglas City Council leader, thank you so much for taking time to phone us. And as we say, Devon was on Breakfast this morning, a really extensive interview about all of this, and you can hear it in full on the Manx Radio website. Thank you so much, Devon. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's Devon Watson there. And obviously, any other questions, we will point them in his direction. We can go to the lines now. And Bonzo wants to talk about cyclists. I just want to say, first of all, Stewie's been in touch to say, I've got a speedo on my bike. It hit 45 miles an hour going down Bray Hill. Pretty good going for Stewie. Do you reckon you could beat that, Bonzo?
Yeah, I think I have may have done in my very much younger days. So growing up across as a teenager, I had a racing bike, and it was custom built, and it was an old Dawes, D-A-W-E-S, Works cycle racing frame. So it was absolutely light, and so special part, it could go like the clappers. And I was reasonably fit at the time. And this is when I broke the speed limit.
Oh.
And I can tell you that I broke the speed limit because the police pulled me over. I was coming back about 10, 11 at night. And I was going through one of the bits of town and then through Light Control Junction. And I went through on the green and things. I was coming back from sort of rehearsing rehearsing with my band at the time. This was, about just before I was 16 and could get myself an FS1E of 50 cc's and angst and noise and things.
Were you carrying a guitar and some drums with you? Because that would just be a great image, no?
That would be a great image, but sadly not.
Okay.
No. That would have made pedalling a bit harder. Anyway, so I go across the lights, and there's a car, standing at the lights. Go across, go up the road a bit, and then I hear this squeal of tyres, and this car does this handbrake turn, comes zooming past me, and then with a bloke shouting out the window, "Please pull over," in very much of a Sweeney kind of way. Anyway, they drive me into the curb, as you do with stops. It's like, "Do you realise how fast you were going there?" And, well, no, I don't. Well, you were breaking the speed limit for a start. That's 35.
I'm really enjoying this reenactment, I should say. This is brilliant. Yeah, carry on.
Oh, yes, it goes on. It's 35. No, and we've had a report of a bicycle stolen in the area, which remarkably matches the description of what you're riding. I said, well, no. I mean, I'm going home, it's sort of a couple of miles. Right, well, we'll be behind you then. And so I cycled about 20-ish miles an hour for the next 2 miles whilst they were crawling behind me. So they were a bit disappointed, I think. But the thing is that it is actually possible to do that, and modern bikes, I'm sure, being carbon fibre and stuff. All these people who, these unfortunate middle-aged men, in Lycra, who then go and buy various sort of Mark Cavendish type bicycles and then zoom around the place. Quite capable of breaking speed limits. And although, of course, speed limits are not actually applicable to cyclists, various other parts of the law are. Such as dangerous riding. And I believe one of the charges that can be done is cycling furiously.
Does that mean you're just really cross, no? Okay.
No. Well, no, because there used to be immense problems with cyclists before the First World War, strangely enough, when you had cyclists who were clerks from the City of London who would then cycle down through the country lanes of Kent and Sussex at the weekend, and they're causing all sorts of mayhems, and they were, strangely enough, called the scooterists.
Oh, well, there we go.
60 years before the mods.
Wow.
Yeah. So there are legal ways of dealing with speeding cyclists and generally dangerous cycling without having to use a speed limit. Of course, I suppose it would be easy to do now with electronics, but of course, in my day we didn't have speedometers on bicycles. So,
all right, Bonzo, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, interesting, and that image of you flying around like that will linger for a long time. Thank you very much. Great to talk to you as always. Have a great weekend. That was Bonzo there, who caught the eye of the law with his furious cycling. Just a few texts and then we'll take a very quick break. Stu Peters' favourite record is Money for Nothing, says texter ending 011. Des says, in the future there will be no cars, so speed limits will be irrelevant, the great green future. And John's been in touch to say, I just wanted to air my horror about the fish killed at the Clips Reservoir. Is this an example of scenarios where we truly need independent investigation of actions taken? If there was a UK water company, there would be huge fines and mitigation requirements. It seems the MUA have a complete disregard for our wildlife and biodiversity status. That's one we will put to the MUA. It is coming up to 20-1 now.
Looking to put their joint heaviest defeat of the season firmly behind them, FC Isle of Man are back at the bowl this weekend with a big task to get back to winning ways in the NWCFL Premier Division. Having conceded 5 goals last weekend, the Ravens will be looking to get on firmer footing on Saturday when they host an Earlham side currently right in the chase for a playoff place. Join me, Rob Pritchard and Tony Mepham for FC Isle of Man versus Earlham, kicking off at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Manx Radio will be bringing you full live match commentary on our DAB and AM 1368 channels.
Right, sure Christmas ad, take one. Here, did you know, this Christmas, right, if you bundle your mobile and broadband plans together with Shaw, you can save hundreds of pounds. You'll also get an M&S voucher up to £200. And you can't argue with that, can you? Sorry, you might have misheard me. They're looking for a plain voice, not a cane. Make sure of your Christmas in store or online at shaw.com. T's and C's apply, mind.
The nights are getting darker, and you know what that means. It's nearly Christmas. At Millie Chaps, you'll find all you need to add that sparkle this festive season. Decorate your home with quirky ornaments, fabulous rugs and lamps, and beautiful pictures. Millie Chaps also have a great range of unusual gifts, so don't delay. Call Santa, is that you?
Shh. Ooh, there's some great finds here at Millie Chaps.
Yes, there are. Take time to browse Millie Chaps of Ramsey, a town full of special little shops.
I love Drive smarter. Drive more reliable. Drive a great deal at Mannin Motors. With a superb range of cars for every budget, always available. And if we don't have it, we'll source it. Plus, servicing, valeting and prestige detailing too. Mannin Motors, Richmond Hill, Douglas. Find us on Facebook or call 420 420. That's 420 420. Drive a better bargain at Mannin Motors.
From the 1st of January 2026, organ donation will change to an opt-out system in the Isle of Man for adults aged 18 and over. Organ donation remains your choice, and it's still important that you confirm your decision on the NHS Organ Donor Register. You can register or update your decision at any time. Visit organdonation.nhs.uk, call the helpline on 0300 123 2323 or make your decision via the NHS app. And remember, it's important to share your decision with friends and family.
When the Mannin Line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631. The Mannin Line with Beth Espey.
So lots we've been talking about already on the programme this morning or this lunchtime. Thinking about what Beastie was saying just at the start of the programme and the events that do take place. We know there are loads of them actually, aren't there, around the Isle of Man. For people who are on their own at Christmas, we understand that Age Concern Isle of Man has an issue with the event that they were going to be holding in Ramsey. Hopefully we'll get some more details on that. But if you know of anything that's happening, it'd be really great to let people know about the sort of events that are happening around the Isle of Man for people who might otherwise be on their own on Christmas Day. Some of the texts and emails and WhatsApps now. Big John in Ramsey says every station, this is regard to energy and infrastructure, every station should be a priority as it could be our only source of electricity if wider conflict affects infrastructure in the UK. Tony in Dartmoor, good afternoon to you. In England, speed limits don't apply to cyclists, but you can still be prosecuted for dangerous cycling if you're going too fast. As for 20-mile-an-hour limits, they can be inconvenient, but they are there to save lives, says Tony, and reduce injury. As a retired paramedic and former driving instructor, I have seen the other side of it. Steve says if you do 32 or 33 in a 30 zone at the moment, you won't be booked by police, and the same will apply in 20-mile-an-hour areas. There are already many 20-mile-an-hour zones. I live in one and everyone copes just fine. Some people seem surprised that others agree with them, but it's important that conversations include a range of views and solutions. And Shane says the 20-mile-an-hour issue has influenced political opinion in Wales, where the change has had an impact on local election results. Simon has been in touch to say, I attended the Garth meeting with Michelle Haywood, the DOI Minister, who said she was there to listen to objections to review her policy. We took a vote at the end of the meeting on the proposed 20-mile-an-hour limit up the Ramsey Road, with our suggestion that a zebra crossing at Ardreatt would be a much better solution to protect school children. 100% voted for this, and I said to her, let's see if you've listened, or is this just public gesturing? Answer, no. No amendment to the Ramsey Road to 30 miles an hour with a zebra instead. The consultation, says Simon, is a deception. Dr Michelle Haywood is not listening to very sensible alternatives voted by everyone at the meeting with no opposition. Dawn says, as a ratepayer, I object that my rates were paid in good faith to maintain social housing, among other things. This hasn't happened for so long. These houses are now being sold off. What a disgrace. This is secret socialism via the back door, says Dawn. This buying properties, letting them rot and then giving them away cheaply while I pay towards the whole circus. We need to remove the hassle and expense of social housing. I do not want to pay. The issue of maintenance was brought up when Devon Watson, the Douglas City Council leader, was on breakfast this morning, because it was raised quite a lot yesterday during the programme when we were talking about this. And he said actually a lot of the issues that are flagged up to them are dealt with within 24 hours if they need immediate attention. As I say, that full interview is available on the Manx Radio website. Alan says, it worries me how much farmland on the island has become housing estates. Peel and Ballasalla for a start. That's a lot of food producing land that has gone. Text ending 376 says there are lots of empty properties in Annika that seem to take forever to be renovated. Buying one of these social houses, says text ending 223, by individuals is dangerous. You could buy a house and refurbish it, but the house next door is not being refurbished to a condition, and that may harm yours. We have got a response from Age Concern Isle of Man, who say they've had to cancel the Christmas Day buffet due to circumstances beyond their control. They do apologise for this. They do say also they're trying to do their best, but it was sadly unavoidable. So that's the issue that Beastie was talking about at the start of the programme. Tony says, just listening to Devon Watson talking about tenants, surely you have to have more tenants who work full-time earning decent money, who are capable of paying their rent every week as opposed to kicking them out, then housing with people on benefits, because that's what's going to happen. There's no middle ground. It's either private money coming in or the public purse paying the rents. Text ending 338, the whole public transport system needs an overhaul in the design, options and schedules. There must be more cars than people on the Isle of Man. Hundreds and hundreds of cars driving from all areas to work in Douglas. Maybe some park and ride hubs would reduce traffic. 20 mile an hour zones should only be in home zones, according to this texter. Outside schools and hospitals. Leave the cyclists alone. Save money. No extra 20 mile an hour zones than we already have. Improve the current 20 mile an hour zones near schools with more colour and signs on the road. So far, that is all the texts and emails. So studio@manxradio.com, 166 177, or you can find us on WhatsApp as well. But better still, we've got about 10-15 minutes or so before the end of the programme. So if you'd like to get in touch and have a quick chat about something, 66 13 68 is the number. It'd be great to talk to you. But we were hearing some pretty positive news on breakfast this morning, with businesses in Ramsey saying that their Christmas trade this year is going pretty well so far. So it is, as of course we know, many local shops in other areas of the island say they're facing challenges when competing with online retailers, the cost of living crisis, and also changing shopper habits as well. We know, though, that weather warnings, closures of the mountain road, it can have a big impact on the amount of trade going to Ramsey. But we've been talking to Lauren and Tim Metcalf from Oogies and Metatech, which is in St Paul's Square, and also Claire Hewitson from Chalet on Parliament Street.
It's really picked up well, yeah. People are very interested. We've got a lot of very strange and odd eclectic gifts about, and people seem to have responded quite well to them. Considering we're in St Paul's Square, which can be a quieter area, we have somehow managed to attract people to us, so we're quite happy about that.
It's good that we're trying to beat internet prices as well and be competitive with the internet prices.
Because how much of a challenge is it to do that in a world where everyone's online shopping?
Coming up, we have another winning weekend.
It's not easy, but it is possible. We've managed to do it. It's just keeping in touch with our wholesalers, trying to basically just stay exactly the same prices as online, so that people can just come in here, try things on, and then leave with them, rather than having to wait and then buy the wrong size.
Why was it that you chose to open your shop here, and what was it about it that you thought would make it sort of the right place for you guys?
Well, we're based in the north, and my parents had a business in Ramsey for a long time, and we moved over here in the 80s, so I'm used to Ramsey. As well as that, it's where all the indie businesses seem to be all gathering together, and we feel like we fit in and complement them quite well.
What has trade been like since you've opened generally?
Honestly, we can't complain. We've had quite a good response to Oogies. We've really enjoyed it, and people seem to be finding us every day. More and more people coming in. They find us via Facebook, TikTok, or just simply by walking past and being interested.
It's picked up the last couple of weeks, I would say. It's been quite a slow start. I think all through the year it's been quite hard for people. It's made harder with the mountain road being closed so much. It seems to be closed more often than it's open. But people that come into Chalet, there was a lady just been in and she said, I always come in here because I can find something different that other shops don't have. So I do try to source something different and generally things that I like. So that makes it a lot easier for me.
What do you think it is about Ramsey that is encouraging that in a world where constantly hearing headlines like the high street's dying?
I think a lot of shops here are independent shops, and we all try and do something different. We don't like to tread on each other's toes, and we'll always, if they can't find something in here, I'll say you might be able to find it in this or that shop. So I think we help each other out too, which is really nice. It's sort of a community spirit. There's lovely places to eat. There's really nice little cafes, which is great. So it's a good spirit, I think, good community spirit.
So that was a couple of the businesses in Ramsey talking to us about the fact that they feel that trade is going pretty well there so far this Christmas, which is a really positive thing, isn't it? I don't know if you've been up to Ramsey recently. I think it's brilliant because there is a little bit more parking. I know parking was raised as a potential issue with some of the development maybe going on in Ramsey along the quayside, but a lot of independent shops up there, and it's really, quite heartening, I think, to hear that pretty much it seems to be going pretty well so far. There is an all-island speed limit of 40 miles an hour when you're stuck behind a lot of drivers today, says Des. There is another question here. Oh, Pammy. No, I'm not going to read that one out. It's a good job I pre-read that, isn't it? This is an email that's been sent to us. We've got the details of who sent it, but the person wants to remain anonymous. Douglas Lifeboat is now off service until March next year because of the RNLI not providing essential assessments for the transfer from the Mersey class to the Trent class lifeboat. The Mersey class lifeboat that's been covering at Douglas will depart the island under dark weather conditions at 6:30 on Sunday. This boat has served the Isle of Man for many years. The Ruby Clary served at Peel for over 20 years and also served at Ramsey. It's been the Douglas boat on 2 occasions because of the RNLI budget cuts. A farewell tour is not being organised as the Ruby Clary is expected to depart the island, as I say, under dark weather without notification. Obviously, that is an email that we will have to put to the RNLI and get the situation on that. Coops is in Cambridgeshire, says, why can't they have Christmas lunch somewhere else? That's what we're trying to find out, actually. We want to know where all of these Christmas lunch events are happening. We know that due to circumstances beyond their control, Age Concern Isle of Man, unfortunately, isn't able to do the buffet lunch that is normally that they've done over the past couple of years. In Ramsey, Beastie was obviously talking about the people affected by that. Obviously, is very, very popular, but we know it hasn't been done because of any other reason other than it's completely unavoidable. The reply regarding Age Concern is not adequate. Come on, Ramsey commissioners, please do something about this news, says texter 066. So once again, that is all of the texts and emails that we have sent in so far. Just a couple of minutes now. 166 177 studio@manxradio.com if you want to get in touch. So we have been talking about the removal of the island's net zero policy, and this is going to come up for debate in Tynwald this week. The Isle of Man Green Party thinks that removing it would leave the island without direction at the very moment that it matters most. So this is Stu Peters. He's been calling for this referendum. It was actually an idea that came from the former MHK Paul Quine. Stu Peters says he campaigned on this in 2021. He believes he was the only person to actually do so and actually call this into question, this policy. And basically he wants a referendum to be held alongside the general election next year, which will be in September. And he says any member voting against this proposal would, in his view, be voting against the principle of democracy. The Green Party, though, says the net zero target gives clear direction to government departments, public bodies, local authorities and businesses. And they argue scrapping it would drive up future costs, weaken resilience and limit our ability on the island to protect households, infrastructure and the natural environment from changes that are already unfolding. There's a really extensive statement online, and the party says the island's net zero policy is not a virtue signalling global gesture, it's a local shield. And it outlines several perceived issues with scrapping the targets, including infrastructure becoming more expensive to protect, energy bills staying higher for longer, housing standards lagging behind, vulnerable households being hit the hardest, and the island's reputation being put at risk. And they concluded by saying the party believes the responsible and forward-looking choice is not just to maintain our net zero policy, but to strengthen it, ensuring stability and opportunity for the island and our natural environment in the years ahead. Text here from number ending 313. The Isle of Man biosphere status must be at risk. Fish killed in the reservoir, more land to be dug up for turbines, and marine life probably impacted by offshore turbines. What is the importance of the Isle of Man having a biosphere status? And why not have Christmas lunch at the cottage hospital? Oh, no. OK. Maybe the RNLI is short of money because many people are stopping their direct debits, says Garth in Port Erin. And that is an interesting point. We again hear very often on the programmes that we do here on Manx Radio about how difficult it is for charities to fundraise these days. There are so many charities that do amazing work here on the Isle of Man, but it is a difficult climate. Ramsey business side. Oh, no, honestly, right. We've got through the week so far without me reading out anything inappropriate, and I'm so glad that I pre-read that one. Thank you very much indeed, Rick. Ramsey is fantastic for shopping, says Mrs. C. A variety of shops, and you can park, which makes all the difference. Just hearing about that this morning. It was really good, actually, because Amy went up to Ramsey and, to be honest, I think was potentially expecting the news not to be so great. So, I think it was really quite heartening to hear how well some of the businesses there, possibly not every business, it'd be interesting to hear from more people there, but is there anything that other places on the Isle of Man can learn from what's happening in Ramsey? The Green Party are masked for the geoengineers who are creating the climate disaster, claims Manx Will. Tell me where on the island there isn't a school, residential or hospital zone that you can go above 20 miles an hour safely. All areas people have mentioned have at least one of the above. David says, this is news as I contacted Age Concern on Wednesday morning inquiring about Christmas Day and they never got back to me. As we say, David, we've only just heard from Age Concern in the past half hour or so to say that it is a situation that's beyond their control. Regarding car congestion, this is from texter ending 557. Serious consideration should be given to reopening the lines of Ramsey and Peel for future generations. All the infrastructure of cuttings and embankments. Fantastic shops in Ramsey, but the town is dirty and unkempt, says texter ending 762. And we need to diversify from fossil fuels with war coming up, says Matty. Last year there was more investment in renewable energy than fossil fuels worldwide. And Gaz says, the Green Party has strong views about net zero, fine, so why not have a referendum and let the arguments be made for the people to make their choice, and an informed choice for generations to come. We will be hearing much more about that once it's debated in Tynwald this week. We will have a full package on it as well on Tuesday, just before Tynwald for December gets underway. Very, very quickly, another message here from text running 252, if it's going to load. The DOI need to get their noses out of everyone's business and concentrate on the basics. The pavements and roads are a mess. Buildings are falling down. One building falling down next to a school in Derby. Who knows how much asbestos and muck is being blown across the road? That is from John in Andreas. Thank you so much for all your contributions today. I'm going to be back on Monday. If you think of anything while we're not on air, 682 631 is the out of hours number. And a huge thank you to Chris Quirk for producing today's programme. I'll be back with Update at 5.